Alright, hello everybody, Skyrain here, back again with another Diablo Immortal video. Wizard PvP, meta build, and then I'm going to show you what I use in Vault. I don't use this build either, actually, in Battlegrounds. I did briefly with my own little twist on it, but then immunity, CC immunity, and with Tempest and Barb right now is just a little ridiculous. So it's like, well, it's not, it works on pretty much everybody else pretty well, but you still have to take into account dealing with the other ones. So let's get into it. Honestly, for any class right now, they're pretty much hard to contend with no matter what class you are, aside from Tempest or Barb. All right, so we'll start with the skills. This is, mind you, this is the more icy meta ish. All right, so we got Teleport, Frost Field, Lightning Nova, and Scorch with Magic Missile. Okay, go over the set pieces. Now this one, this is what I have. I'll give some alternatives because these are such a pain in the ass to craft because of the 3 slots. That should be a guarantee for all these now, since there's 6 pieces that have 3 slots of normal gems to be possibly socketed. There's no excuse for us to have to go through all the nonsense at this point with everything else in the game, which is why I burned up a lot of wisps trying to get these upgraded, and some of these aren't even upgraded yet because of the whole 3 socket nonsense. I'm still irked by that, as we all should be, and we all are, because I've seen multiple people now, including myself, obviously, going off about this, and rightfully so. This should be a standard quo now. But anyway, I would try. You could go. Well, let me just go over what I use. 4 pieces of the new ice set, and I use 4 pieces of grace. Okay. You can look that up and see what it does for yourselves. I'm not going to go into too much detail so we can kind of move things along. But alternatives, if you want to go all in on this one so you can get the shatter and chill effect damage that happens every 40 seconds. The internal cooldown, keep in mind. And this one grants you Mountain's Breath for 12 seconds. So there's also that internal cooldown to try to, if you want to min-max it. You can go all 6 pieces, and then if you go on that route, I would say at that point, the other 2 put on Feasting Baron for more CC duration and more, if you can get them in CC, crowd control. If for those that don't know what CC is, there's been occasions where some people be like, I'll go and respond in Discords and I'll say CC and, you know, DPS, and well, DPS should be obviously at this point, but CC and some other terms. They're like, oh, what's CC? I don't know all the lingo from the kids. I'm like, CC has been in gaming for a long time. It's crowd control. But anyway, but yeah. So yeah, at that point, if you want to run all 6 pieces, the other 2 you can run as Feasting Baron, straight up. So there you go. Now we'll get into, again, this is more or less what the majority of the wizards out there are using currently right now, is the Countenance headpiece, which is Scorch. Launches the electric orb, explodes an impact, creating an electric field that pursues enemies and inflicts them with shock. So yeah, this one got changed recently to where now it will create, you get 2 charges of it too. And you can use it to pretty much do a bit of ground cover, and then also if any enemies get near it, it will start to chase them. It's a little slow moving, so you can actually, as long as you have stuff off a cooldown and you don't get caught by it initially, you can kind of, you know, lead the target, you know, lead the ball away from your teammates and lead it away from you. But again, it's one of those things like if you get caught by it, you know, this in itself will not be too much of a problem to deal with. However, these other 2 pieces in synergizing with it will be the Repulsive Burden shoulder piece, which does the shock knockback distance is increased and the cooldown is reduced. So now you're gonna catch them in the electric field and knock them around. So it will it'll keep them definitely off balance. It will continue to do damage. You can apply dots, and then now the ice comes into play with the chest piece. Chest piece will now cause all your attacks to be chilled and frozen but you only freeze on crits with this chest piece. The chest piece gives you a buff effect. So as long as that buff is in effect, all your damage, all your skills and attacks will chill and freeze on crits. Now, the ice set, of course, comes into play on top of that, so that's what makes it usable. If you don't have this on, and if you don't have any ice abilities running in the process of it, the new ice set, sadly enough, is null and void. This is the only thing it's good for. Sadly, it's a very niche set, but I mean, it works very well, depending on who you're up against. Anyway, moving on to the legs. Now, in the video I'm going to show at the end here, showcasing a vault battle and how it went down and the skills that I was using, I didn't use these leggings because I didn't have them at the time. I do now. This one's very nice because it's teleport now. It does an ice step, dealing damage and freezing enemies at a target location. So this in itself will do a freeze. You don't need to have the buff active. So if for whatever reason it's on cooldown for like that split second or whatever, before you can cast it again, you can use this and still get off a freeze on somebody that might be chasing you or what have you. Make sure they don't have their immunities up, mind you, because then it just won't do anything. It might do some damage, but it won't freeze them, which is what you want anyway. So there's that. I've seen this run, Fault and Foundation, which you're using with Lightning Nova. It randomly calls down Arcane Lightning in a targeted area. So it's random when it happens, but in the area that it does, it's going to be like a brief little zap, zap, zap kind of thing, straight down, lightning bolts. But it also deals damage and knockback, so you have an additional knockback with this. But basically, you want to hit them with the freeze and, so on and so forth. Now, what's really going to help your Scorch for the crits to freeze is what you need is this offhand, the new one. Scorch critical hit chance is increased by 29% against chilled enemies and 50% against frozen enemies. So there you go for that. To help with your Scorch again. So you basically have 3 pieces here for Scorch alone in this build. And then, the ice that works with everything else. Now, also, with the Lightning Nova ability, I run the Scorching Scree, so that way you can help your party members move faster, and on the return of the Lightning Nova onto you, it will buff you again and continue your movement speed and the duration, making it longer. So that's why I kind of prefer this one over the Siphon, which is a brief burst. It's a slightly faster percentage, but it's very short. And then Old Rustic for increased attack speed from Lightning Nova. All right, that's the meta currently that I've seen run.
Another tale to
Now,
unravel.
let me go ahead and change it. I'm going to change it to the one that I used in the video I'm going to show for activate Icewind. Okay, so this is the one that now like I said, the pants are different. And now I'm using Arcane Wind instead of Lightning Nova. There's a reason behind all this. So there's a couple pieces that got swapped. Now, I did change this one recently. But I was running increased Arcane Wind damage pants, so ignore that. I did resave it and overrided it, but anyway. Let me see. I used the Ice Spike instead, because I'm not using the Lightning Nova ability on the Fault and Foundation. So I use the Ice Spike, which this thing, every 5 seconds, your magic missile is going to shoot out an Ice Shard, and it does a significant amount of damage to all nearby enemies as well. So they all get hit with it in a nice AoE attack. And it's a nice ice burst when it happens. It looks pretty nice. And it will also spread the freeze a bit more too, so keep that in mind. That's why I like running that piece. And because I run Arcane Wind, I put back on Thistle Bloom and Outer Crystal. So that way your Arcane Wind will now freeze chilled enemies. And because I run Thistle Bloom instead of Blustercrux, mind you, Thistle Bloom now has 2 charges. It does, I think, a little bit more damage even than what it used to. And the nice thing about Thistle Bloom as opposed to Blustercrux is Blustercrux on players would pull them in once, and then that's it for its duration. Thistle Bloom Doesn't run as long as Bluster Crux, but you have 2 charges to overlap now for more ground coverage. And the Arcane Wind Spiral will do more of a ticking damage effect. So it's not just if you catch somebody and you spread the fields out enough, you might be able to catch them when their immunity shielding and all that kind of stuff will drop down enough and tick damage them as long as your freeze buff is up, and then you'll be able to catch them. And then the Alder Crystal for sure will, if they get touched by your attacks, they'll be chilled, and then they will be frozen for sure with Alder Crystal. Okay? But the big caveat to all of this, of course, is the big monkey wrench that, you know, Blizzies decided to throw out to everybody is, well, Tempest. That's all you gotta say. So, but anyway, play the video here real quick of this in action, and then we're just gonna run out the clock at that point. Let me find the video again, and get into it here. And then it's just gonna show you the build in action. All right. Let me jump ahead. Oh, too far. Okay. Now, like I said, in Vault, I've noticed your healing pots pretty much don't work. It's a waste of a charge. It basically does nothing. You'll see why that's such an issue. Okay, so there's multiple Necros. I got dotted to death from their red circle fields overlapping. So I was able to cheat death that. Let's see. Okay, my whole team is dead now except for me. I'm trying to survive through multiple Starfire and the Maw, and I'm trying to keep my distance now away from the double Necros that are still alive, still Wraith forming away from my attacks. I'm still hitting them with the dots and the Grace ticks. I'm trying to survive the gem attacks. Again, keeping my distance, keeping them frozen in between their Wraith forms, locking them down. And I don't want to get touched by their red circle at all. So there you go. That's how I had to play that particular exchange. I was so low in health that I had to keep distance like that. And like I said, the red circles from Necros unfortunately do not match the animation. The damage usually comes before it looks like they're touching you. That's obviously like server issues of server lag of some kind that will never be fixed or addressed. So we have to always keep that in consideration when it comes to that. But there you go. That was the build in action. I have no idea why my pet decides to bubble me in the training dummy area. This is kind of mind-boggling. But anyway, there you go. That is the PvPs in a nutshell. I forget if I did show Paragon, by the way. I don't think I did. If I did, then obviously go ahead, leave a like, comments, and please subscribe to help the channel out. Trying to make the push to 1,000, so let's get it done, guys. I do appreciate the support all the way, of course, regardless up to this point. But that's what the stretch goal is right now, currently. So let's get it done. Appreciate it. If I did cover the Paragon, but if not, here we go. I don't remember if I did, so forgive me. It's Gladiator, Grizzled Veteran, Cheat Death, Battle Morale, Hold Formation, and Quick-Witted. So there's the, I don't want this to drag out any longer. You can look these up yourselves. Pause the video where you need to. I'll just kind of tick them back again, going up the tree. And you can see what all they do. There you go. Alright, so until next time, everybody, stay safe out there in the real war and fire as always. Take care of yourselves as best you can, one day at a time. That's all we can do. Until next time, see ya.